Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another edition of the Friday Fix. My name Eric Madsen. I'm here at Flicksation Studios, P City, Wisco. Where else on a not terribly blustery February night here at Flicksation Studios? Just got through a ridiculous about 14-day or so cold snap that barely ever got around above zero for like 2 weeks. So the 10 or so that it is right now, feeling pretty fly. Alan, the list man Robinson, it's the Friday Fix, so here you are, man. Welcome back to the show as usual. We got a big year here tonight, Alan.
Oh, we do indeed. I'm very excited to do this one, and I didn't realize how different my choices would be. From picking movies was so easy to picking music was so hard. And, it was fun putting the list together, and I am so curious, again, what you guys are going to have. And I bet with the movies, we'll probably have some crossovers. I mean, there's just some that I think we might all four say. That's my best guess for tonight.
Al, you and I did some, we did these just me and you for a while, a good deal of time. Then we started bringing on guests to pick the year. Well, we had a pretty good show here last time with Jason and Quintin, so we thought, what the hell, let's just make this a regular thing. Jason, back on the program. Thank you, Jason. Good to have you as a sort of regular here, at least for the Friday Fix.
Great to be here, Eric. Happy to do the show with you guys. It's been a lot of fun, the two shows I've been on. Excited to do this year. Now, if I'm not mistaken, 2007 is a year requested? And
yeah.
Who requested it?
A listener, Steve from Austin. And no, I do not know what Steve's actual situation is right now with the Texas thing. I have not heard from Steve, but Steve has actually donated Al a couple of times for the prize for our Oscar pool party. So
he's the guy. Okay.
Nice.
The guy. So I thought the least we could do was give him the year he requested, Al.
Oh, hell yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. If Steve is listening, Steve, we would love to hear your picks for this year, too. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Quintin back with us again. Quintin, welcome to the show. It was like fourth or fifth time, right?
Let's see. 90, 95, 2013. I guess this is the third time, right? Yeah.
Well, time. For this, but yeah, we've had you for.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At least a couple bit and
Borat
too. Borat too. What a beauty.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back. I am very honored to be a part of this regular Friday Fix crew, hanging with the boys, enjoying some time. So, it's great to be back, Eric.
So, yeah, when 2007 was floated, I was immediately interested, as it's definitely a year that lives in great memories for me film-wise. Flicksation was not going yet. Still 4 years away or so, but I was doing my movie blog at the time, so I had written up reviews on a number of these films. Definitely did a top 20 of that year. Looked it over, made some changes. We'll see how things pan out here, but 2007 pretty much thought of as a really good year for film. I think it's still remembered that way. Music, I don't think it's remembered for its music, but there was still some interesting tunes in there. So, I would have been 32 in 2007. So, I don't really remember the year too much, other than hitting a lot of these films at the end of the year, cleaning a lot of things up at the time of the Oscars, and Alan, what was going on in 2007?
I was 25 and I was fresh out of college the year before and basically just trying to work full time. It actually didn't work out that year. That was an interesting time. But it's kind of one of those transitionary times, kind of just seeing what real grown-up adulthood was like. And you know what? At that point I was like, screw this. I'd rather stay young for a little bit longer as much as I could.
Actually, 2007 is kind of a weird transitional year for me. I'm 33 at the time. Just left a pretty high paying job in car sales to start my own business. And right at the end of 2007, beginning of 2008, that business fails due to the fall in the market, housing and loan market, which is what my business was kind of in. So kind of a weird year.
So I would have been 12, and I would have been in 7th grade going into 8th grade, I believe. So not like a lot of like junior high dances and listening to Soulja Boy. I don't even know. Just very preteen formative years of. I think I was in my first relationship ever, which lasted, I don't know, like 30 days or something. But yeah, I was significantly younger than you guys were.
You don't have to put it that way, man. All right, so of course what we do here on these shows, we're going to talk about our top 5 albums, our top 5 singles, and our top 5 films of 2007. Starting out over there with Alan the List Man. Al, it is music. We're talking albums here first. How was this one for you? You said it was a little tougher for you than normal. Definitely tougher than movies. I think we'd all agree there. But what did the music of 2007 look like overall, Al, for you?
So it was a lot of like mediocre to like pretty good. Like there's about 1 or 2 albums of mine that I think legitimately I really do like. And then after that, it's like, yeah, these were good choices, but not albums that I listen to like all that often. But the funny thing is I could fill the list with a whole bunch of musical artists that I do really like. It just so happens that year was not some of their best work. It's funny because I don't remember really like the culture back then too much. I other than I remember that it was the Bush era was coming to an end, and that was I think 2000. No, that was the year before the 2008 election when Obama became president. So I think we were still in kind of that, Bush era, late Bush era, where it's like a lot of good old boys. You got the new metal artists were just kind of ending, kind of like the way grunge, eventually went away, and like some country artists that were kind of stepping up, becoming popular, and I'll mention Radiohead. Radiohead was in a big transition back then. It was an interesting time. I guess I'll say that, but nothing, I don't know. I don't think it really had an identity.
Interesting. All right, Al, do you have any honorable mentions here for your favorite albums of 2007?
Yeah, I do. I still decided to come up with 3. And all 3 of these are the kind of album where, like, you could either just put it on from the start and listen all the way through, and it would still be enjoyable, or you could just put it on shuffle and have random songs, and it's still about as enjoyable. But they're definitely kind of experimental. And so the three I have here as my honorable mentions are Nine Inch Nails, Year Zero. Trent Reznor, I think that was almost like the end of the regular Nine Inch Nails era before he really started getting more into like scoring soundtracks with Atticus Ross. I have Queens of the Stone Age, Era Vulgaris, which might be their weirdest album they ever recorded. It just felt like they were almost trying to be punk in a way, almost like a pure garage band at the time. And Wilco, Sky Blue Sky, which it was almost like the hangover that they had to their fame. They became really famous in 2002 with Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and then they followed that up with their next album, which I think was a bigger album, like charting success, and then might have even have gotten them some Grammy attention. And then Sky Blue Sky is sort of like I Just Need a Cigarette era. So yeah.
All right, man. Lay it on us. Your top 5 albums of 07.
Sure, and I think all 5 of these are kind of playful albums. Era where he was trying to be country and rock and rap, and I think he kind of got an.
Say who it is again, Al. You kind of popped
sure.
out on us
Sorry.
for a second.
Kid Rock, Rock and Roll Jesus.
Oh, maybe that's why it blanked out. Kid Rock's the worst. But anyway, go ahead.
You mean Bob Ritchie?
Yeah. Is that his name? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to do Warren Zevon and Lynyrd Skynyrd, I think. Yeah. But I mean, it was fun. Number 4, I mentioned Radiohead, so this is where I put In Rainbows. I mean, look, it's a really, really good album, but it's not one that I like love to listen to over and over again. But what they did in that little time of that, just I thought it worked really well for them, because like Hail to the Thief was good, but like and it wasn't as good as Amnesiac. And then
Hail to the Thief is definitely my favorite.
It is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Radiohead album, big anti-Bush album, good stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. And then the Witches album, or whatever the hell that thing was, that's not even listenable. At number 3, I have Brad Paisley. Gotta include another country album. Fifth Gear, which that is definitely his most playful album. He's writing a lot of like jokey lyrics and everything. I mean, he's literally got a song on there called Ticks, where he just wants to check naked women for ticks. At number 2, I don't like this guy, and I'm so glad that Kim Kardashian is divorcing his ass, but I love the album, Kanye West, Graduation. In fact, I think it might be my favorite album of his, which is kind of nuts considering how good his first 2 are. But I just love, he's got a song on there called Barry Bonds, for crying out loud. I mean, he was tripping on something, but the lyrics and just, I don't know, his musicality back then was just fantastic. But my absolute favorite was Linkin Park, Minutes to Midnight. And that was right during the start of the Transformers, Michael Bay era. So they gave their one song to the soundtrack. And so that's kind of where they were at the time. But that album, it fused metal and rap and hip hop, or just whatever, like that whole style. It just fused it so damn well. And yeah, it's one of those I can actually listen to over and over again.
Fantastic. Let's jump over to Jason this time. I'm wondering how much of my list you're going to pull out of your hat here, Jason. But 2007, how was the year overall, do you think, in music, and your honorable mention?
So actually, Al brought up some really good points. I think overall, it was a year that I had high expectations for music, and a lot of things seemed to fall flat. All of Al's honorable mentions, the Nine Inch Nails, the Queens of the Stone Age, Wilco. I'm going to add Ween to that list. Ryan Adams are all albums that I expected so much from and fell so short for me. It's sad. It's not that they're bad albums by any means, but they just weren't what I was looking for. So my list is probably going to be quite different from yours, Eric, on that note. So my 5 honorable mentions, I'm going to start with number 10, would be Stars of the Lid. Definement of the Decline is the name of the album. It's post-rock, like a Sigur Rós feel, atmospheric, really, really good. Number 9, Tegan and Sarah, The Con. Kind of a cool electronic 80s feel from a duo, I guess, sisters or whatever, that is just really, really good music. Number 8, Grinder Man, the album Grinder Man. Nick Cave doing a side project, just amazing. Almost as good as his stuff with the Bad Seeds, if not better than some of that. Number 7, Feist, The Reminder. I love Feist's first album, but I would say this sophomore album definitely beats that sophomore slump for sure. And then number 6, my top honorable mention, Radiohead, In Rainbows. It is a good album. Eric, Hail to the Thief is an amazing album. But yeah, this is a great album. It's just missed the mark for me for Radiohead. But it was cool that you got to pay what you wanted for the album.
I forgot all about that. Yeah. In fact, I don't think it even came on CD until 2008.
I think that might be right. Yeah, you couldn't get the album until a month later.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people were paying like a penny for it, and then some people were paying like $20 for it. Pretty interesting.
I probably would have. I don't think I got it till the CD came out, but if it was today, I'd probably just pay the typical amount, like $12, $15, whatever.
I paid $10 for it. I thought that was fair for a digital download.
07 for sure. Yeah, no doubt. All right, Jay, your top 5.
So coming in at number 5, I love this album. It's their best album. Ockerville River, the stage names, hands down one of the best albums I've ever heard. Number 4, Spoon, Gaga Gaga Ga. I hate the title of the album, but I love that album overall.
Their song titles, their album titles, always just cringeworthy. But yeah, you can just sit back and listen to pretty much any Spoon album, and it's just a good time. Yeah,
it is a good time. Number 3, The National, Boxer. This is probably my favorite National album, either this or Alligator. But yeah, really, really good. Number 2, Arcade Fire's Neon Bible. I loved Arcade Fire's first album, and I did not like this album on first listen. But after a few listens, Neon Bible is my favorite Arcade Fire album. And number 1, I'd never heard anything like this, and I'm so glad he put it out. LCD Sound System, Sound of Silver, Dance Punk, as done in the bedroom. Amazing shit.
All right, Quintin, 2007, how was it for you with music and your honorable mentions?
This was sort of post like scene, like emo sort of music. My Chemical Romance had released an album earlier the previous year. The Black Parade and Panic at the Disco and all those other bands had released that stuff prior to 2007. I would say if Paramore, I think, released their Riot album in 2007, which didn't make this list. So I sort of like look back into music that was transitioning, and it was a lot of, like radio hits or whatever. So I listened to a lot of stuff for this, and I discovered stuff from bands that I was familiar with that I had never listened to those albums previously. So I have three honorable mentions: Infinity on High by Fall Out Boy, American Gangster by Jay-Z, and then The National's Boxer as my three honorable mentions.
All right, your top 5.
All right, so starting at number 5, I have Icky Thump by the White Stripes. I don't think that this is their most accessible album, and the best track on this album is the title track, which is the first song on the entire record. Overall, the White Stripes are maintaining who they were as a collective, the two of them, and I really enjoy listening to this thing. Although when people listen to it, it's not going to sound. The sound is going to be familiar, but they're not going to be listening to stuff that they've heard before by the White Stripes. So that's why it's at number 5, just solely based on that reason alone. At number 4, I have MIA's Kala, which is interesting based on sort of where she is at in life right now. Because in 2007, I would argue that this was the biggest, other than Kanye's Graduation, which I'll mention later, was probably the biggest hip-hop album of that year. And it combined obvious hip-hop elements to her Indian culture. And I think it's such a unique sound to hip-hop. And it's so much different than her first album that I can't quite wrap my head around why I like it so much. But that's number 4 for me is MIA's Kala. Number 3 is Radiohead's In Rainbows. This was the first time that I had been hearing, in 2007 was the first time in real time that I had been hearing Radiohead, because I don't remember stuff from them earlier on in life and being able to recognize them until I was much older and looked back in their catalog and listened to stuff like OK Computer and Pablo Honey and stuff like that. And it feels less angry than the stuff that they were doing beforehand, which is what makes it different, and I think is part of what makes this album so great. I don't think it's their best one. I would also agree with both Eric and Jay that Hail to the Thief is better than this one, and OK Computer is better than this one. The Benz is even better than this one. Nevertheless, it's good. At number 2, I have Kanye West's Graduation. I think I on our 2013 list, I had mentioned that I had put Yeezus on there, and that it was like my 3rd favorite Kanye album. Graduation is my 2nd favorite of his. I enjoy almost every track on this album. I think it is certainly the best hip-hop album of that year. The transition in Kanye's career to where he was then to now is just night and day. It's one of the most insane things that I think I've ever seen happen to a musical artist. But number 1 I have Arcade Fire's Neon Bible. And this was probably one of the easiest decisions that I had to make. I sort of knew going into this that this was going to be my number one. I love this album. I think it's probably the best alternative. It is the best alternative album that came out that year, and just great tracks like Keep the Car Running and No Cars Go on this album. I think their sound is just fantastic, and this is far and away my favorite Arcade Fire album. I think more than AM, which we had also mentioned. AM is the Arctic Monkeys album. I'm sorry.
Reflector.
Thank you, Reflector. Yeah. Even better than Reflector is. That is definitely my favorite of the year.
All right, guys. Only one album on any of my stuff here was broached by one of you guys, and it was Quintin way at the end. So yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, overlooking it, I haven't had much luck in these 2000 decade shows. So 2007 was a pretty busy year musically for me as far as things coming out. It's kind of a love-hate year. The stuff on my lists are definitely things that I like a lot, but a lot of bands I really like put out albums this year that just didn't work for me. That Queens of the Stone Age album didn't really work for me. This is not one of my favorite Radiohead albums. One of my favorite bands is Smashing Pumpkins, and I cannot listen to Zeitgeist. It's just...
I didn't even want to bring it up.
It's not a good album. Not a good album. So there's a lot of bands I really like that put out albums that I do not like this year. But I did come up with some stuff here. I got a couple of honorable mentions. Neon Bible, you just talked about that in my honorables. The Silverchair album Young Modern worked for me pretty well this year. And Ga 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 by our friends Spoon over there. So those are my honorable mentions. But my top 5 on all 5 of these albums, even not thinking about the year 2000, I have listened to all these albums within the last year. So this is all stuff that I fairly regularly listen to. Number 5 for me, the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club's Baby 81. You into them at all, Jason?
That just missed. That's number 11 for sure.
All right. I was kind of thinking you'd go for that one, but no.
I love their first album. That's my favorite.
Okay. 4, that's where Quintin came in. Icky Thump. Wasn't a White Stripes fan at the time. My wife pretty much loves Jack White above all else in life. So I've heard a ton of it, and I've definitely come around on it. So Icky Thump, probably my favorite White Stripes album. Number 3, Dinosaur Jr.'s Beyond, which holds the status of being kind of the regrouping of the original band after, 2 original members were not there at least a decade. So most of the stuff through the middle of the 90s was Jay Mascis pretty much, yeah. So, yeah, this brings back Lou Barlow and Murph, the drummers, and they've made like 5 great albums since then. So, Beyond, my number 3. Number 2, Jason, you knew this had to be in there somewhere. La Cucaracha by Ween. Yeah, I know, I get your... I don't think it hit for me right away, but as the years have gone by, there's a ton of stuff on that album that I just love. So, La Cucaracha by Ween, their last album, or at least their last real album they made.
Yeah, fair.
2007. And at number 1, I think fans of this band kind of pan this album. And I don't know why, because I think it's fantastic. I know it's not what they typically serve up, but my number one album, Tomahawks Anonymous, guys, which was, I don't know how much you two guys besides Jason know about Tomahawk, but this album was a bit of
never heard of them.
Okay, a bit of a departure
Never.
for them. This is Mike Patton on vocals. The Dwayne Dennison, the guitarist of the Jesus Lizard, the bassist from the Melvins, the bassist from the Melvins, and John Stainer on drums, who was with the early Helmet. So it's a super group, basically. This is their third album. Instead of the straight ahead rock of the first two albums, Anonymous is their homage to Native American music. And it's kind of this spacey Native American sounding, kind of fantastic, I think. So I love that album. A lot of fans of the band aren't a fan of that album, but check it out, guys. Tomahawks Anonymous. So moving on to singles, guys. The rules here, once again, as long as the song charted in 2007, it doesn't matter the year of the album. So as long as the song had some kind of presence in 2007, it is fair game. Alan, any honorable mentions for singles tonight?
Yeah, I also came up with 3 honorable mentions. None of them were rock songs, ironically, even though this era rock was still my most listened to of the styles. But I have Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, I Tried, which I think features Akon. Very interesting sounding kind of rap song. It's almost like rap R&B. I have Elliot Yamin, Wait For You, which, I mean, yeah, the guy was a contestant on American Idol, but every once in a while that show produced a couple good songs. And yeah, I mean, it's worth checking out. Quintin, you already mentioned it, MIA, but I have to put Paper Planes on here. I mean, what a hell of a just great song. And of course, whenever I hear it now, unfortunately, I do always have it synonymous with Slumdog Millionaire, but I mean, it makes sense in a way. And but yeah, it's just, I've never heard rap music like that, and her experimenting, and just really just having as much fun as she can. I think that's fantastic. So yeah, so at number 5, then, I'm a little surprised none of us have mentioned these guys yet. Foo Fighters, The Pretender, which is maybe their most rocking song they've ever put out. And I really wish that all of their music was that aggressive, because The Pretender is just badass rock. And I also remember that album was actually nominated for the Album of the Years, and I thought, good for Dave Grohl. At number 4, Colby Calais, Bubbly, which was just this perfect kind of like sit on the beach, drink a Corona, and just stare at the water kind of song. Number 3, Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing. I just love the intro. It's almost like the street gang is coming to get you kind of song. Number 2, Rihanna, Umbrella, which, yeah, I know, again, way overplayed, but just what a damn just fantastic song. And even the music video, and a little bit of help from Jay-Z, of course, but yeah, I mean, nobody could escape Umbrella. But number 1, Linkin Park, and specifically Shadow of the Day, which may be one of their most experimental songs they ever did. It's interesting because I listened to it again the other day with my headphones on, and it starts kind of quiet, and as the song progresses, it just gets louder and louder until that guitar is just ear-piercing. But I just fucking love it. And what's kind of cool is if you're trying to sing along with Chester during the hook, you need a lot of breath, because it's like 20 straight seconds of singing. I don't know that, but that's why Chester was one of the best to ever do it. So yeah, Shadow of the Day.
Jay, honorable mentions and then your top 5.
With the songs, I'm going to skip honorable mentions. I had so many songs kind of bounce in and out of my top 5 alone, and it was kind of just hard to narrow that down. So I'm just going to go with the top 5.
Awesome.
So number 5, I think the song brought a lot of awareness out there, and I'd just like to say that the Dewey Cox song, Let Me Hold You Little Man.
It's so good. So good.
Got to put that as my number 5.
All right. Didn't see that coming.
I had to include that song. I just had to. Number 4, Kanye West. It's the only rap I'm bringing up for 2007, but Can't Tell Me Nothing is an amazing tune. Number 3, I'm going to go with LCD Sound System, All My Friends. Number 2, the Ockerville River, John Allen Smith, Sails. Now, this song I do want to spend a little moment on. One of my favorite songs of all times. It ends up on a lot of my little playlists and Spotify, and I just like to hear this tune quite a bit. The reason I really, really like the song is it steals from the Beach Boys' Sloop John B., which is one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. And just an amazing tune. If you guys have not heard this song, please listen to it. John Allen Smith, Sails. And my number 1 for that year, I am going to go with the White Stripes. Icky Thump is a badass tune.
Oh, all right. Quintin, what you got for honorables and your top 5?
All right. So this was pretty hard to narrow down. My honorable mentions, I have 5 honorable mentions here. The 5 that I have are Icky Thump by the White Stripes, Umbrella by Rihanna and Jay-Z, which Alan had mentioned earlier. I mean, it's just like it was a Radiohead, it was a club banger. You hear it now and you sort of have nostalgia for it, so.
You had a lot of club banging when you were, 12?
Yeah, the middle school dances were just popping off. I have Fluorescent Adolescent by Arcade Fire, The Pretender by Foo Fighters, and just missing out on the top 5 was another Arcade Fire song, Keep the Car Running. So, at number 5, I have Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye. I think all of us have mentioned this so far. Just a fantastic song, catchy hook. Like I said, I mean, Kanye was at his sort of peak at this point. With College Dropout, this 808s and Heartbreak the following year. I mean, this is Kanye, pre what we know Kanye now, and it was just sort of this amazing transformative thing in hip hop that I enjoy quite a bit. At number 4, I have Paper Planes by MIA. I mentioned her album earlier, how much I like it. This is obviously probably the song that she's known for the most, besides that song that I think she did some stuff with Madonna like later on, or maybe around this time. People would also know her for, but yeah, I mean, this song is great. I think they used it in Pineapple Express. Alan had mentioned that reminds him of Slumdog Millionaire. I mean, it's a fantastic song. Not my favorite rap song of the year. That's coming. At number 3, I have Black Like Me by Spoon. And I didn't mention that album as an honorable mention just because of the stupid fucking title of that album. I do like that album quite a bit. But this is my favorite song. I mean, Eric had said it best. I mean, they have horrible titles for their songs, horrible titles for their albums, but they're so easy to listen to. It's just a smooth, just a melodic sound, and I enjoy this song quite a bit. At number 2, I have a song that was off a 2006 album that charted in 2007 by one of my favorite female artists, possibly my favorite female artist of all time, Amy Winehouse. I have Tears Dry on Their Own. Her voice is euphoric, and obviously shortly after this sort of rise to fame, that was very well deserved. She sort of left a little too soon, and but this song is just the type of song that I can throw on if I'm in a negative headspace, or I'm having problems going to sleep. It's just her voice in general is just so great. So that is number 2. And number 1, I have None Shall Pass by Aesop Rock. And this guy
Good choice.
is infamous for being probably the rapper that has the most vocabulary out of anyone that's ever existed. I think I mean, this guy is just unreal. One of my favorite New York rappers ever, and this is probably one of my favorite singles by him. So that is number 1.
All right. So what I typically do, I just always like to reiterate this. I could take the 5 songs I like the most off the albums I like the most. I like to mix it up here for singles. I like to take things off the charts. Typically avoid the albums I picked. I was successful at that again. There were a lot of decent charting tunes that I liked from 2007. So actually I had a few to choose from. A couple of honorable mentions I'll throw in. Straight Lines by Silverchair. Lazy Eye by the Silver Sun Pickups. And even though I said I didn't say I hate the album, but even though Zeitgeist is a huge bore, I was expecting much better, because the lead single, Tarantula, just is Billy kicking every ass in the room. Tarantula's a fantastic ass-kicking Pumpkin song.
I'd agree.
On a completely boring album otherwise. So those are the honorable mentions. Number 5, I never would have thought Spoon would have made its way into 2 lists here, and I'm on a different tune, Quintin. I got Don't You Ever as my number 5.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah,
just listen to that name of that.
Yeah. So
it's so bad.
Great tune though. Number 4 from the New York band Interpol, the Heinrich Maneuver. Not Heimlich, Heinrich, whoever the hell that is. So that band can be pretty weird, but this is a very straightforward rock song, so check it out. Number 3, Starlight by Muse. That album is pretty good, so I would suggest it, but Starlight, a pretty good song as well. Number 2, Modest Mouse's Dashboard, kicking it off with some Johnny Marr in this tune, and just a fantastic, catchy, radio-friendly Modest Mouse tune. So Dashboard, my number 2. And number 1, Incubus Dig. Another song that was probably overplayed, but I still love it to this day. So, yep, play it all the time. Dig by Incubus. Movies, guys. What a year. What a year. Alan, you got to have some honorable mentions for 2007, I'm sure, but I guess lead us off with your overall thoughts looking back on 2007 in film. Actually, Al, before you do that, I always forget this. Let's talk about the top 10 money winners that year, just to put 2007 in perspective. Coming in at just under $1 billion. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, guys. Beating out Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by about $20 million. So Spider-Man 3 coming in number 3. Shrek the Third, Transformers, Ratatouille, I Am Legend, The Simpsons movie, National Treasure, Book of Secrets, and 300, rounding out the top 10. 300 pulling in just over $450 million. So anyway, Al, I don't think many of those films are going to make these lists. So, 2007, looking back, Al, what'd you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, hearing that list is really sad. Although I did actually have fun seeing the Simpsons movie, partly just because of all the years of watching that show and being like, all right, we finally have a damn movie. And they bring out Green Day, and I'm like, okay, pretty cool. And then it's like, okay, there's a bubble. Okay. I don't know. It holds up sometimes, but definitely did not make my list. No, by the way, that Pirates of the Caribbean, that one is an absolute stinker.
Yeah. Terrible. I mean, I'd argue the only good one is the first one. And how good is it? I don't know, but the only one that wasn't bad in some regard was the first one.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. The year overall, I mean, wow. Not since 1999 had we had a year this overall fantastic and deep, and like good movies were coming out of nowhere. A lot of rising artists, some just at the top of their game, and I mean, like, I feel bad for some of the ones I ultimately left off my even honorable mentions list. Like, I couldn't quite get The Host from Bong Joon-ho on there. And I don't know. If you guys haven't seen The Host, you definitely need to go out and see that.
I would have said this was the best. The Host was the best foreign film of 2007, no doubt.
Yeah, because like that Julian Schnabel movie where the guy's paralyzed. Yeah, The Host is miles better.
The Diving Bell and the Butterfly.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, but that's Julian Schnabel, so he's kind of an angry man. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like the year started out with Martin Scorsese finally winning his Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture. And then, of course, the middle part of the year just trash with the big blockbusters. But by the time we got to the end of the year, it was like, wow, there's some really good stuff here. And I don't think we even knew how good the year was then, because we look back on it with absolute fondness, the way we look at 1999 and like 1939 and stuff like that. Just most people talk about this being one of the best years ever for movies, which is pretty incredible considering that we did mention Pirates of the Caribbean and Spider-Man 3. Emo Peter Parker.
Yeah. All right, Alan, honorable mentions and your top 5 films.
Okay, so of course I had to come up with a 10 honorable mention list, and I wish I could have put more on there. But in alphabetical order, I have American Gangster, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Sidney Lumet's last and fantastic film, The Bourne Ultimatum, Gone Baby Gone, Halloween, which, I get. Some people don't like Rob Zombie. I get it. I loved it anyway. Hot Fuzz, which is, boy, is that a fun movie. I Am Legend did make my honorable mentions list, although the dog scene kills me every fucking time. Juno. I have a soft spot in my heart for Juno because it takes place in Minnesota, and you know, it's just a really cool, cute little movie. Super Bad, which oh my god, makes me laugh so fucking hard, especially the blood on his pants. Oh my god. Oh my god, that'd be so embarrassing. And speaking of blood, There Will Be Blood, which does not make my top 5.
Bold.
Yes.
Bold.
At number 5, I have one of my all-time favorite movie-going experiences, and I wish that they would put the whole damn thing online as its original intended viewing, and that is Grindhouse. I get that it's 2 different movies, so they want to sell them separately, make more money that way. But if you saw Grindhouse, you get the fake trailers in between, and it's just this long 3-hour raunch fest for the most part. I mean, it's gory as hell. It's fantastic. And the end of Death Proof gets me every fucking time when those women are just beating the ever-loving shit out of Kurt Russell. At number 4, Frank Darabont, the last movie he's ever made as a director is The Mist. And my God, speaking of endings, the ending to The Mist is an all-timer. I know it's very controversial. A lot of people don't like it. I fucking love it. Oh my God. But I'm not going to spoil it.
It's a fantastic end.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's fantastic.
I mean, who comes up with shit like that? Oh, yeah. And the look on Thomas Jane's face. Wow. Give that man the Oscar. Number 3, and I was really debating putting this at number 2, but I have it at number 3, and that's Zodiac, which has just gotten better and better over the years, especially that cast. Just tremendous. Number 2, though, is my sentimental favorite, and that is Into the Wild. My God, I have not cried that hard at a movie in a long time. And, that guy, Christopher McCandless, what a life. I mean, he wasn't very old, but wow, what a life. And number 1, No Country for Old Men, which neo-Western, I don't know what you'd call it, but cat and mouse, but fuck, man. Like, I don't know how the Coen brothers were able to pull this off so perfectly, but that is a flawless movie. And Javier Bardem with that haircut and playing Anton Chigurh using that cow killer thing on people. Woo-hoo-hoo. And just like all the little subtexts in that movie. Oh, and of course, when what's his name? Caleb Landry Jones is like, that fucking bone, man. Look at that fucking bone.
Yep. Yeah, kudos to Al since it's on my honorable mentions and I'm going last, I just want to make sure and throw my love towards Into the Wild. Also a big fan of that film.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean Penn's only directed film, I believe. So I don't know why he didn't try something else, because I think he does a fantastic job with this one. But yeah, Emile Hirsch, great in it. Just
so good.
Good film.
So overlooked too.
So yeah, a great year in film. Al covered quite a bit of what I'm going to get into. I think the orders are just going to be a little different, and I think we're going to see a lot of this repeat a little bit.
Nice.
But coming in at number 10, my honorable mentions though are going to be a little out there. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. I just love John C. Reilly. I love that movie. I could maybe do without the parody part of it. Not so much like, I love all the musician parodies, I guess, but I didn't need like the nose nose blind. Shit, I guess. Anyway, still, I love that movie.
Jay, real quick, I think that movie gets overlooked because of the perception that people have of those kind of movie, or what people think that kind of movie is. And it's so much different than like a normal parody movie. And I'm really glad that you mentioned it, because I made the mistake to not. I think that movie is actually kind of fantastic.
I catch myself watching it a lot. Like I go back to that movie a lot. So it had to be in my honorable mentions at least. Number 9, I'm going to go with Eastern Promises. I love Cronenberg films, but Viggo Mortensen's role in this, like, I've never seen him better in anything. Really, really enjoyed that movie. Number 8, I'm going to go with The Lonely Island Cruise Hot Rod. I don't know why. That's probably my favorite of all their movies.
Cool beans, man. Cool beans.
Cool beans. Cool beans. Number 7, actually, you guys kind of mentioned this already, but I really, really love this movie. It is really dark. It is really depressing, but it is really beautiful. And that's The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. It's not an easy watch by any means, but there is some beauty to that movie and definitely some heartbreak. Number 6, this comes for my son Jordan. He was 2 at this time, and watching kid movies, Eric, as you probably understand, you tend to watch the same ones over and over again, and hopefully you can at least get your kid on one that you can kind of deal with. Number 6 for me, Surf's Up. That's one I could kind of deal with. I like the goofiness.
What a ringing endorsement that is.
I love Jeff Bridges' character at that. And the fun mockumentary style of the movie is pretty cool. The surf scenes are pretty entertaining. But gosh, I had to watch that movie quite a bit, at least 100 times. So getting into my top 5, this is probably this one and maybe one other one in the list are probably not going to be repeated in the top 5. But I'm going to go with number 5, Knocked Up. That is my favorite Judd Apatow movie. I like the comedy of it, but I like it's like almost so real too. Like it almost is painful to watch these characters interact sometimes. The dialogue of that movie I really, really enjoy. Number 4, the Coen Brothers, of course. No Country for Old Men. Amazing movie. Cormac McCarthy. The book is crazy. So coming in at number 3, Fincher's Zodiac is absolutely amazing. That has definitely climbed up my list, probably from the number 4 spot. And that movie just gets better with each watch. Just so good. Number 2, There Will Be Blood. I love P.T. Anderson, what he did with this movie. My only complaint, I fucking hate Paul Dano. I just hate him as an actor. Just cannot stand him.
Yeah, then this one would be tough for you.
It was. Oh, some gratifying scenes though when he is being tasked for sure. And then my number 1 movie of 2007, and I hope one of you guys mentions this movie. I absolutely think this movie is amazing. It's Anton Corbijn's Control, the Ian Curtis story, Joy Division. Love this movie.
All right. So I have a few honorable mentions that I'm just going to fly through here. I have 3:10 to Yuma, the James Mangold movie, The Host, Sweeney Todd, Atonement, American Gangster, Hot Fuzz, Sunshine, Ratatouille, The Darjeeling Unlimited, Wes Anderson, and The Diving Bell and the Butterfly just missed out. on my top 5. I would say that is 5A for sure. And my last honorable mention is actually a documentary called The Worst Family in America, which is about the Westboro Baptist Church. And it's so, I think it's unintentionally funny. I wouldn't say unintentionally funny. It plays into the humor as if like an episode of Nathan For You would play out. Just, but the director is nothing like Nathan For You or whatever. But it's yeah. I if you want a good laugh about the fucking crazy bastards over there at the Westboro Baptist Church, The Worst Family in America is quite a trip. But starting out at number 5, I have Superbad, which I think is Seth Rogen and Evan Greenberg. Is that his name?
Goldberg.
Evan Goldberg. Sorry, not Greenberg. Evan Goldberg. I think this is one of their first scripts together, if not their first script that they had written together. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think I think you're right on that. Pretty sure. And I want to say even Bill Hader might have had a little hand in it too.
I think so. Yeah. That okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. But yeah, no, I think it's one of the best, like high school comedies that's ever been made. I mean, I legitimately think that this movie, beat to beat, works. The jokes land every single time. Michael Cera and Jonah Hill's chemistry is perfect. I
mean, like when the movie starts out and they're talking about what porno sites they're going to subscribe to.
Yeah. It's just,
oh my god.
it works so well, and I laugh so hard every single time I watch it. So that is number 5. At number 4, I have Juno, which I actually watched today. So this is really fresh in my mind, and I think regardless of if I would have watched this today, this movie would have made the list. I think that this movie, Diablo Cody winning the screenplay Oscar for this was well deserved. I think that this is a very sharp, very witty screenplay, and Alan, you had mentioned the fact that it does take place in Minnesota, and there are references to like Stillwater and I think there's like an Eden Prairie reference. Like I don't even.
Yeah, I know they mentioned like Ridgedale Mall.
Ridgedale Mall, yeah. Right. She's outside of the abortion clinic. She mentions the Ridgedale Mall, yeah. But I think that this is great. I think the soundtrack is so good. It is just a great, very warm feeling movie. And
well, Quintin, I have a question for you then.
Sure.
Did you like that Sonic Youth cover of the Carpenters?
I did. And there's the joke in the movie where Juno is talking to Jason Bateman's character, and she's like, yeah, I picked up that Sonic Youth album and it sucks. It's just noise. And I think that's funny that you mentioned that, but I do actually like that quite a bit. I think that collectively it was the one thing that I paid attention to the most watching the movie today was the music, and it fits perfectly. I don't know compose the music for this movie, but it works really well, and I think it is one of Reitman's best movies for sure. At number 3, I have Zodiac, which I think is not only one of Fincher's best movies, but certainly one of his most underappreciated ones, because you can pick like an obvious one. This movie is better than Mank. This movie is better than The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and these are all great movies on their own. But Zodiac is a movie that I truly believe it. I mean, it stood the test of time 13 years later. I think that this movie will go down as like a classic film that people over time will learn to appreciate more. I think that the performances are great. Ruffalo, Downey Jr., Gyllenhaal, these are all just fantastic performances, and just an unbelievably great and greatly underappreciated movie. And number two, and I sort of struggled between 2 and 1, but at number 2 I have No Country for Old Men. This is obviously the Best Picture winner from the pool of the 2007 films. It is a fantastic adaptation. The gas station scene is one of the most infamous scenes in recent memory. I think that this movie, narratively, performance-wise, everything just sort of flows great, and I love it. But my number one movie is my favorite PTA movie of all time, There Will Be Blood. This movie is, I would say, about as perfect of a film that you can get, and also maybe a bit of an underappreciated movie as well, at least in terms of people that aren't maybe as like informed about Paul Thomas Anderson and films like these, because I mean, I could talk to other people about like honorable mentions, and like Eric talking about the 10 highest grossing films and all that, but outside of like movie buffs and cinephiles, I almost never hear about people talking about this movie, and this movie is fantastic. The score is great. I think that the screenplay is obviously fantastic. Daniel Day-Lewis is as good as he's ever been, and as much as I say it is underappreciated, I think it's maybe Paul Thomas Anderson's one of his most accessible movies, which is ironic. But yeah, I love this movie a lot. It is my favorite movie of 2007. Yeah. There Will Be Blood, number 1.
You know what's really funny about that movie, by the way, and what amazes me how it is so popular, is that there is not a spoken word until the 15th minute.
It's such a great thing, and like people would watch that movie, and I think people's first instinct would be to get annoyed by that, like it would be some sort of like turn off from that. And I think that's very important for setting up what that movie eventually delivers, and it's so good. Yeah, I just, God, I love that movie so much, and I really do wish that more people knew about it, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, for me, that and No Country for Old Men are always tied together. It's hard for me to think of one without the other. My favorite story about that is that they were actually filming at the same time on pretty close to adjacent lots in New Mexico. So when PTA did the oil rig on fire scene, No Country for Old Men had to like stop their production for the day and like skip a whole nother day because of all the smoke. Was like the wind was blowing all the oil rig smoke over to the No Country set. So No Country got the last laugh, winning the Oscar, but whatever. So yeah, man, great year for films, no doubt. I left a bunch off my honorable mentions, and I still got a bunch here. I'll just run through very quickly. Order of the Phoenix, a good Harry Potter film. Into the Wild, I'll mention again. Michael Clayton, George, and yeah, like that one. Lars and the Real Girl. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, I will double down on. Sweeney Todd, I will double down on. Walk Hard for sure, good. And The Host, all rounding out my honorable mentions. I will say my top 5, all in my top 100 films of all time. That's how strong this year is. Yeah.
That speaks volumes about this year, man.
That's how strong this year is. So, number 5 for me, a documentary. I watched this many times. I love this film. Right up my alley from the get-go. But The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. Some Donkey Kong, some 80s gaming assholes. Fantastic, fantastic documentary for any video game nerd out there, so check it out. Number 4, by far my favorite Pixar film, Ratatouille. Yeah, I talked about this film a ton on the show. Of course, it's going to be on this list, so that's my number 4. Number 3, No Country for Old Men. You guys have said it great. Not my favorite Coen film, but my second favorite. So number 3. Number 2, Zodiac. Yeah, definitely my favorite Fincher film. This thing is a work of majesty. I love Zodiac. And number 1, of course, There Will Be Blood. My second favorite movie from my favorite director is going to be on there, no doubt. So, yeah, guys, that was fun. 2007, what a year.
I'm sorry, Eric. What's your first PTA film?
What is my favorite PTA film? Yeah, There Will Be Blood is right up there, man. But Inherent Vice, God, so good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights right behind it. I don't know.
Yeah. See, Boogie Nights.
I love Hard
my
8.
favorite.
Yeah, Hard 8 is great.
Hard 8 is good too.
The Master.
The Master. Punch Drunk Love. Fantastic for as simplistic as it is. I mean, yeah, PTA fantastic. But There Will Be Blood could be my favorite on any given day. So
Fair.
yeah. All right, guys, we're going to have to think about what year we're going to talk about next. Any listeners out there want to suggest a year, you can even do it anonymously. I don't care. Just give us something to work with. You can email it flicksation@gmail.com. Text it to the voicemail line, 608-535-9302. Or just hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, @Flicksation, whatever. Yeah, and we'll plan another one of these sometime in the near future. The episode coming after this on the Flicksation feed, Nomadland, as well as Judas and the Black Messiah, coming up on the next episode of the Flicksation podcast. Then 2 episodes down the road, Chad is going to be joining us for some lighter fare, as the minister will be busy on that one. But we're going to be talking about Tom and Jerry, the reboot. And yes, Coming America 2.
Wow.
Coming to America 2. So, yeah, a little bit lighter fare in a couple episodes there. But keep your eyes on the feed and pick up the episodes as they come. Alan, thanks, man. Always a pleasure. 2007, we knew this one would be a big one.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, this was great. I think we are a great panel. I love talking to you guys. This is definitely one of my highlights every time we do this. And yeah, I mean, it's fun digging back into the music and remembering, oh, that's right. Or be like, ooh, that's right. Movies, always fun, of course. And yeah, I mean, 2007 was just a very interesting year. I will say it was the last year that the Oscar 5 was clean, meaning like,
Sure.
yes, 2008 was the last year where they had 5, but it was all controversial because no Dark Knight was included. But 2007 was just pure 5, and nobody complained.
Well, I didn't think, was that The Reader? No, that one didn't work for me at
Oh,
all.
oh wait, for 2008? I think that
that's
was actually
2000.
2000.
Okay, well, Atonement I didn't like either, so we
Okay.
could go with that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah, because I think it was Atonement, Juno, No Country, There Will Be Blood, and one other one.
Michael
Oh,
Clayton.
Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you, Jay. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, great chatting with you guys. I always love the diversity of. I never know what's going to be on our list, and I like that. I like that quite a bit.
Well, and I guess I wanted to report too. Any time that I listen to something that one of you guys talked about on like the last show or whatever. Any guesses, Jason? What from your last list I listened to, and I've actually listened to 3 times since the show. One guess.
This is from 2013.
Yeah.
Did you go with J. Cole? I hope you did.
I certainly did, and yeah, fantastic disc, no doubt about it. Never heard of him before in my life, but yeah, loving it.
Dude, that opening track is fire. Complete fire.
First
man.
2 tracks, too.
Yes.
Especially.
Yeah.
God, fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, and Quintin, thanks to you as well. I guess all we can say then, probably for tonight, Quintin, ga 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 ga.
yeah. No, this is always great. This is I don't know if I could think of a better way to spend a 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Yeah, no, this is always so much fun chatting it up with you guys, and a special shout out to Steve from Austin for giving us a suggestion. It was
Here's Steve's list.
Yeah, please, Steve, absolutely give us.
When I correspond with him too, just so you know, I do call him Stone Cold Steve Austin. So how can you not, right?
Acceptable thing.
Address one with respect. I understand.
Yeah. No, this is great, and I cannot wait for the next installment. So thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks everybody. That is 2007 here on the Friday Fix. Catch you on the Flick side.